welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you are new here. I know, it's like elephant in the room. Where have you been, Jen? Yes, I took a little bit of time during the holidays just to be a little bit more present with my family, and I just didn't expect to take this much time. I didn't mean that, but here it is. We are nearing the end of January, and I'm like, let's get into it. In addition to that, I also took a little break from social media too, which I did not mean to do. Although I do think that, a mental break from social media every now and then is pretty healthy. Like it is much needed. But I am super excited to be back. I have missed everybody. I've missed interacting with everybody. I have so many new books that I want to talk about, and just a lot of things that I want to talk about. But I also do want to mention that I hope that everybody had a wonderful holiday, Christmas, whatever you celebrate. I hope that it was amazing and you are jumping into the new year with really good bookish goals. We don't know. So even though the new year has come and gone and we are in the middle of January, I do want to rewind a little bit and go back to 2022 because we missed a month. So I do think that the next couple videos that you see will be geared towards 2022 books. This video in particular is going to be about the books that I read in December. I did get through 13 books in December, which I think for the holidays, the hustle and bustle, all of that, I think I'm pretty proud of myself for that. I think that's a really good accomplishment. So I'm not mad at it. There definitely were some misses and a few hits. So without further ado, let's get on into it. Alrighty, so as I mentioned in one of my earlier videos in December, I did want to incorporate some Christmas type books. I did get through a couple of them. I think next year I will go a different route because I didn't have such great luck, but that's neither here or there. We'll get into it when we do. The first book that I read for December was One Last Gift by Emily Stone. This is primarily about Cassie. It is told in the point of view of Cassie. And her older brother Tom lost their parents when they were very, very young and went to live with their aunt, who did the best that she could, but she just ultimately wasn't like that nurturing. So her and Tom became even closer than they were. They were practically best friends. It was basically Cassie and Tom's best friend Sam growing up. And one thing Tom was really good at every year for Christmas was doing a scavenger hunt for Cassie. And then as they got older, these scavenger hunts did become a little bit more elaborate. However, tragedy does strike, and Cassie ends up losing Tom as well in a horrific accident. And after his death, she finds what would be her last scavenger hunt from Tom. She doesn't immediately jump into it for a plethora of reasons. One being, it's kind of bittersweet, like it's my last one, but she does eventually start dipping her toe in and start doing the scavenger hunt. And I really enjoyed how, Tom saw her in a different light. And this scavenger hunt was, yes, it's epic because it's the last one, but it's also like Tom is showing her that you're more than you think that you are. You can do more. Your dreams do matter. And I think it was basically like a self-discovery kind of thing. It was cute. It definitely was a great book to jump off my December reading with. I ended up giving this a 3 stars, and there's no spice. All right, keeping with the Christmas theme, the next book that I picked up was Your Christmas Love by Layla Hagen. It kind of promotes itself as like a grumpy sunshine, but Winston is really just grumpy because he is under immense pressure to save the flagship department store that his family has. It's his family business that he's taken over. And again, he's trying to save it. So like that's where the grumpiness comes in from. But once we meet Giana, who works in the office and who is just like mad about Christmas, it kind of brings him out of his shell. He starts laughing a little bit more. He gets more playful, and that grumpiness is it's not like a grumpy demeanor. It's just, I'm under pressure and I've got to save this business. It's my family business. So I really wouldn't categorize it as grumpy sunshine, but it is a workplace romance. And I thought it was really cute. I think if you want something like super sweet, very easy to read, just a fun holiday read, this is definitely one that you should put on your list for next Christmas. I ended up giving this one as well a 3 stars, and I gave it a 1 for spice. Then we come to the next one that I picked up, which was Flawless by Elsie Silver. The hype, y'all, on this one. I was not as nervous going into this, thinking that I probably wasn't gonna like it. Like, I knew, I trust the readers that I follow when they say that it's a good book. Like, 8 times out of 10, you're correct. They were correct. The hype on this is real. This actually was my first Elsie Silver book. Obviously, it's definitely not going to be my last. I'm really excited to jump into the next book. But this was just everything about it. Like the writing, the dynamic between these two, the chemistry, the dirty talk, the spice. Like, it was all there. It was all so good. It was easy to read. It was great. I mean, it was an easy digest, right? Like, you wanted more. You couldn't put it down because you just wanted more. And the story was just super fun. So this is a dual POV, and it follows Rhett and Summer. Rhett is like this big rodeo star, and Summer is actually like one of his PR agents because he's gotten into a bit of trouble. I'm kind of with Summer in this book, where I wasn't quite, like, I didn't quite get like the big uproar over this huge controversy and like why he lost sponsors over it. Like, because it was like all over milk. I mean, I get it. You're like a country boy, like a good old boy, right? From a small town, like everybody knows you. You're like really popular, but I mean, like, it's milk. Didn't quite get that, but you know, it's like a little bit of like that sporty bad boy, and she's like, I'm here to rein you in. The banter between these two, it was just so good. I highly recommend this one. Super good. I gave this 5 stars and 3 stars for spice. Then I read By Any Other Name by Lauren Cate. This was actually a listen for me. This follows Lainey. It's told in Lainey's point of view. It's kind of like a frenemies to lovers. It's like a workplace romance. Kind of, yeah, I mean, yeah, those are like the 2 big ones that I would say. So Lainey has a really promising career. She is, I believe, like when it starts, she's like the assistant editor to her favorite author. She kind of switched careers in college when she read this author's book and immediately fell in love with it, and then fell in love with the author and just was like, that's what I want to do. I want to edit books. So that's what she became. As luck would have it, she is actually the assistant to her favorite author's editor. So she actually gets to work pretty closely with this author. They banter back and forth via email. Now, the big thing with this huge author, Noah Calloway, is that she's a huge romance author, but nobody sees her. She doesn't do like any public appearances or press releases or anything, so there's like that mystery shrouding her as well. But everybody just loves her so much that it's kind of like this added bonus to her books. And Lainey is actually tasked with helping Noah because Noah has a bit of writer's block, and she's tasked with getting this book out before the deadline. This is a really cute book. However, the problem with this is Lainey finds out a secret, and I had a little bit of a problem, if you want to say it, with like her reaction to it. It's a big secret. It's huge, but the reaction to it, I was like, but why? Like, it's not, she kind of like went off the handle in a like completely different way than like maybe I would have handled it, or I thought that she would have handled it. And then there was a little bit of animosity there between these 2 characters, and I just was like, I think you took that a little overboard, but let's reel that back in. But the dynamic between these 2, I really enjoyed. I loved Noah's character, and I wanted more of that. And also the ending kind of fell short for me. I wanted more there as well. But overall, I thought it was a pretty cute book. I definitely enjoyed it. I gave it 3 stars and no spice. And then I moved on to Feed on My Darker Side, and I read Welcome to the Dark Side by Giana Darling. It is the 2nd book in the Fallen Men series, and I kind of think it was my favorite so far. Just because from the first one, I was definitely intrigued by Zeus, who is the male main character in this book. This follows, obviously, Zeus and Louise, or Lulu, or Lou. She has plenty of names to pick from. The kicker, age gap, pretty hefty age gap. It's an MC group. Zeus meets Louise when she's 7. Yeah, I think 7. I think that there's like, I think it's like 20 plus years of an age gap. I may be wrong. Let's just say that it's like 18 to 20. It's a pretty good gap. She meets him when she's 7, when he like literally saves her life. She is caught in the crosshairs of a motorcycle like fight, and he saves her. He grabs her when a bullet comes, and it literally like goes through him into her. So the impact of it going through him kind of stopped it from actually killing her. They end up in the hospital together, and she sneaks out to go see him because she is very, very interested and intrigued by this big man who saved me. And they strike up a little bit of a conversation. Lulu seems a bit older for her age. She's very, very in tune with like what is around her. But anyway, so Zeus ends up going to prison for like 2.5 years, but for like almost the next 10 years, they end up writing each other. So he gets to know her and she gets to know him, and he kind of sees her through, I mean 7 to 17, like, you go through a lot of different phases there. But when she finally sees him again when she's 17, all bets are off. Like, she realizes the pull is real to Zeus, and like, that's it. Like, this is how it's going to be. One way or another, we are going to be together. But I really enjoyed it. Of course, you've got the MC group going on. Of course, you've got the fighting. I love that bad boy with a soft spot. Like, I mean, come on. I definitely really enjoyed this one. I gave it a 4 stars, and I gave it a 3 stars for spice. Next, I picked up Lotus by Jennifer Hartmann, and you guys, Jennifer Hartmann, I have fallen in love with this woman. Her writing just speaks to me. It's everything. Like, her writing is just it's unfucking believable. I love it. I've really been enjoying her backlist and everything. But so I picked up Lotus. This is about Oliver and Sydney. They have been best friends since they were like 5 or 6, and they were inseparable. They lived next door to each other until one 4th of July, Oliver goes missing. And 22 years later, that's right, 22 years later, he is found walking on the side of the road. And Sydney is just absolutely beside herself because she has just never stopped longing for her best friend. So this is kind of their journey of reconnecting. And I mean, Oliver, it's 22 years. Like, he's lost so much, and you go through the book and you kind of find out like where he was and how he became, but also like he is a little bit socially awkward because of the scenario and the situation that he's been in. But just such a great book. Oh my God. If you haven't read anything by Jennifer Hartmann, what are you doing? I just don't think that you would be disappointed. Honestly, I really don't. I ended up giving Lotus a 4.5 stars, and I gave it a 1 for spice. The next book I picked up was Eyes on Me by Sara Cate. It is book 2 in the Salacious Players Club, and oh my. Yes, I don't know if it's like a little bit more taboo than the first one, but it is a different style of taboo. So this is a bit of an age gap. It is step siblings. Yes, and it follows Garrett and Mia. And Garrett is part owner of the Salacious Players Club, and we kind of find out in the first one that he is a bit of a voyeur. Mia, who is a stepsister and not related at all, she is a cam girl. I was really interested in watching like how all this played out. What was kind of fun was Garrett ends up finding her as a cam girl because he is a voyeur, and he was looking for some fun one night and ended up just happening to find his stepsister, who he has noticed, obviously. Does not know that Mia has noticed him even more sexually, but he is just very intrigued by this new side of Mia that he's never seen before. So, I mean, like, this was super sexy, just like the first one. I really love how these books not only play with, like, taboo things, but just, like, the aspects of sex, because Salacious Players Club, I mean, it's there for, you know, fetishes and kinks and, you know, things that are outside like normal boundaries or whatnot. But it's really interesting just to read all about these as well. It's like, it's an added almost character to the story, and I've really enjoyed it. I am really looking forward to the next book. But Mia and Garrett, like, they stole the show. It was really good. Like I said, super steamy. I love the dirty talk and the banter, and just it's all just like good. I mean, I gave it a 4 stars, and I gave it a 3.5 stars for spice. Then I kind of ventured over to another Christmas read, and I read On a Silent Night by S.L. Starling. And guys, I didn't like it. I was not a fan. I can't tell you what the POV was. I can't even tell you the main characters' names. It was a big dud for me. I really liked the premise when I read it. It's about a woman who falls in love with her husband's best friend after his death, and he can't deal with that, I guess, so he like leaves her, but then he comes back when she's in a relationship, and he's like, I want you back. And I had just come off reading what was meant to be The Previous Month by QB Tyler, and like, I mean, nobody can do taboo like my girl QB, but I was like, oh yeah, like, sure, I could definitely do this. No, honestly, I felt like I was reading 2 or 3 plots that had just been like edited together, and they did not mingle well. It just, I was not a fan. I think I ended up giving this a 2 stars on Goodreads, but now I'm just like, why? I don't know. Pass. So I needed to pick up something that was refreshing, that I knew that I was going to like, and it was Broken Arrow by Sophie Lark. It is I think it's the 5th book in the Brutal Kings series by Sophie Lark. This one follows Riona and Raylan. I want to say that it was dual POV, but this one I was anticipating because, you know, throughout the last 4 books, we've gotten to kind of see Riona, and she's just a firecracker. She was like this ice queen, and I wanted to see her melt a little bit. And of course, who's going to get her to melt but this country boy Raylan? So you've got this ice queen who's like super high maintenance, and she falls for a country boy. Like, I loved it. And the big thing that I was most excited about was I finally got to read the barn scene. If you are a Sophie Lark fan, then you know the infamous barn scene. It was in this book, and I'm telling you, Miss Sophie Lark, I'm a little jelly belly. That's all I got to say. Obviously, I enjoyed this one. I gave it a 4 stars, and I gave it a 3.5 for spice. Then I picked up a duology that has been on my shelf, eyeing me for months, taunting me, and finally I was like, I'm gonna read it before the end of the year. It's my goal. And I did it. And guys, they are Binding 13 and Keeping 13 by Chloe Walsh. I'm a little mad at myself that I did wait so long. These books, I don't know why I waited so long. Like, is it because they're hefty? Maybe. Is it because, like, I don't know if you'll be able to see this, if you can see like how tiny the writing is, different than a normal book. There's a lot. I mean, like, you're getting a lot. So I mean, like, if you can kind of see that, like, so this is like a normal version, and you've got like lighter books, so it's a lot. Like, and I knew that, and I was like, I'm never gonna get through these. I read this in like one day. I read it in one day. Not both of them, but I was just like, everybody be damned. I don't know anything other than these 2 books. This, I do believe, I don't know, like, would this be constituted as a YA? I'm not really sure, because they are in high school, but I don't think of it as a YA book. Maybe young adult, but here's the thing, like, they're set in Ireland, so their language is more lax than Americans, so you know, there is salty language in these. I've actually talked to a couple of you on here about these books, and one in particular said that like it was slow getting into, you couldn't get into it, and I completely see where you were coming from on this, but I will say, get through that. Here's the thing, yeah, they're thick books, and you get a lot of information in these, but once you start reading and you get over a point on Binding 13, so it's the first one, you kind of see Chloe Walsh puts a lot into it, but it's totally worth it. Like, the scenes are long. There's a lot of information in the scenes. There's a lot of dialogue, and you would think that like it's just unnecessary fluffer, but these characters, because there are a lot of characters, you get to know them very well, and you want to know them as the story progresses. So I think that's why it is the way that it is. But they are ultimately about 2 people, Johnny and Shannon. It is told in their points of views, and they just, I just don't know what else I could say about this other than these books have just like cemented themselves inside me. They are just so good. So what I have seen, There are supposed to be 4 books. This is Johnny and Shannon's story. And then the 3rd book is about another character in the series. And then the 4th book is going to be about a different character in the series. I just don't know that we're going to get those for personal reasons from the author. But you do get a conclusion. So go ahead and read these. You're not missing anything. It's just you're going to want more. I just don't know. Like, I will tell you this, because I don't want to tell you anything about these books. Shannon has just not had the greatest life, and she is sent to a private school to kind of get away from her other school. She's been bullied severely, and this is a new fresh start for her, and it's about her entering the school and just a plethora of things. But I will say this, I have teared up. I have even shed a couple tears from books that I read in 2022 or in the past. I have chuckled at books that I have read in 2022 and previously. With these, I had to put the book down, head back, laughing hysterically, crying from laughing so hard. These were so funny. And I'm telling you that you actually want that humor and welcome it, because these books are just so deep and so heart-wrenching, and just they tear at you. That being said, I am not ashamed to say that I had to have a box of tissues next to me, because that's how hard I was bawling during some parts of these books. They are just so, it's just emotional. I just can't say enough good things about these. I definitely recommend that you read these. Yes, they are chunky, but I'm telling you, like, they're chunky, and I wanted more. Like, I finished and I was like, no, I need more. Please, I need more. So yes to these. I think I ended up giving this one a 4.5 and then this one a 5. They're both really essentially 5 stars, but this one just hit a little bit harder for me. So like, that's why I was like, I gotta give you a point extra. As far as spice, I would put like a 1 on both. They're not spicy, but y'all, so good. Like, so good. So good. Then reeling off of the high from binding and keeping 13, and I had to like take a break for like a week, because the hangover, the emotional roller coaster that took me on was real. So I needed something a little bit different. And so I picked up Always Been You by QB Tyler. This, I didn't realize, was very similar to Eyes on Me, as in the sense of they are brother and sister. Now with this one, where they were step siblings on Eyes on Me, with Always Been You, James and Gabrielle are brother and sister, but Gabrielle was adopted. So they are not related, but they did essentially grow up together. But Gabrielle has been infatuated with her brother since as long as she can remember. They are really, really close. They've always been really close. Like, he always looks out for her, but that protectiveness kind of switches a little bit into, you know, uncharted taboo territory. Again, like I said previously, it's QB Tyler, and just nobody does taboo like my girl QB. She writes taboo like a boss. I mean, and there's just nothing really that can be said for that. I mean, it was good. She does the spice just right, the sexy talk, the spicy scenes, like it's all there. I ended up giving it a 4 stars and a 4 stars for spice. I really just loved watching them try to navigate this new relationship, and it was good. It was good. I mean, that's it. And then the last book that I read for December was The Key to My Heart by Lia Louis. This was another book that was on the Christmas list that I found, but I don't really think that I would constitute this as Christmas either. I kind of had some fails when it came to that. It was like 50-50. Like, I think I read 4 Christmas books, and 2 were more on the Christmas side, and 2 were just like, I mean, maybe it's a hit or miss. But this one, again, was another one that I listened to, and so it was really nice distraction when I was driving. And overall, like, I thought it was okay. I think I ended up giving this a 3 stars. There is no spice. I'm sorry, guys, like, I can't remember what the female character's name is, but it is told in her point of view, and you are definitely in her head, because I think in the start of the book, she rambles a lot, and she creates scenarios in her head and just rambles on and on and on about that, about what could be and what might have been and all this stuff. So she lost her husband 2 years ago in an accident, and her friends are being friends, like just trying to get her, you know, to open back up and maybe start dating. It's been 2 years, but you know, in her head, she's like, I don't see why they don't understand. Like, I just want to do what I want to do. I want to be heartbroken. Like, let me be heartbroken. There's nothing wrong with it. So she kind of finds herself distancing from them and creating new friends, like unbeknownst to her. And she like secretly starts playing a piano that is located in the train station. And she starts finding sheet music there that's left for her that she would play for her husband. And so like there's like that mystery aspect of who's leaving me sheet music that is very much a part of my life, and also her journey of finding who she is without her husband and even potentially falling in love. It was a good read. It wasn't by far any of my favorites. Like I said, I did end up giving it a 3 stars, but that was it. Time for my top 5 of the month. We have Flawless, Welcome to the Dark Side, Lotus, Keeping 13, and Eyes on Me. My most surprising read was Binding and Keeping 13 because I did not know they were going to hit me the way that they did. Like, yes. And my biggest letdown of the month is going to be On a Silent Night because, I mean, just no. Like, all around, no. Alrighty, guys, that is going to do it for my December 2022 wrap up. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm back. I'm very excited. I'm coming at you next with my top books of 2022, so stay tuned for that. Please let me know how your holidays were, how you are doing. I've missed you all. I'm so glad to be back, and thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you're not already, because we've got a lot of stuff to do in 2023. But until next time, happy reading. Bye.